let me ask you this question. This one you have to answer. We are looking at method. So we call this one method of determining flow of energy in an ecosystem. So the question normally I ask my students when I'm teaching this is that now how can I determine the kind of food you eat or you have eaten? How can I know whether you eat this food, you don't eat, or you have eaten this food? How can I determine? So like you are with your friend, maybe friend XYZ, those are your friends. How do you know the kind of food that friend X eats or has eaten or likes very much? How will you know that? Answer that question. If you don't answer this question, I will never teach this. So please just go straight. This one you don't find them in books. You just reason and you get them from experience. How will I know? How will you know the kind of food that I've eaten before, or know what I will eat? Lodina, okay, you're using the flyboy. Okay, Lodina. Yeah, try. We are all trying. Yeah, we are all trying. Don't worry. Okay. Can you? Okay, okay. Or has eaten before or regularly ate. Okay, I think that is more scientific and that is more deeper. We want it. Okay, it's a very very good way, but that will take a very long time before you can see the defect. So that is another thing that Lordina has told us. Very very good. Any other person? Lordina went too deep, so please don't go too deep as Lordina went. Just stay closer. Koko Buafo, yeah, Koko. Is it Nyamiye Koko Buafo? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Are you okay? So if the person is very energetic, then the person ate what food? Okay, Coco is not here to answer me. Okay, alright. So how energetic the person is can tell you the kind of food the person eats. Someone said you can't take in tea, coffee, and come and dance some kind of dance or run. Okay, that is it. So any other person that can help us to know the kind of food a person has ate, likes, or has eaten before. How will you get to know? I've got two answers. Although they are all correct, just that they are not closely related to how easy I want it to look like. Another person can come and try. I'm getting different answers, and at least it is helping a lot. Okay, hand is up, Radia. Hey, so okay, Radia, talk. Thanks for answering because I called you. Radia said by direct observation and questioning. So in simple terms, how will I know? Sometimes a friend visits you. What do? You ask the person, what food do you like? Then the person will tell you that you get to know. So that's what Radia said, observation and questioning. But you went to your dormitory, you see that this person always when you go to the canteen or dining hall, always the kind of energy she used to eat a food and finishes it at the dining hall, you see that this person will like this kind of food. This person every morning she want to eat a porridge. Then this person likes porridge. This person whenever it's done brown, she doesn't eat it. So she doesn't even come to the hall. So that means that she doesn't like that kind of food. This person every morning she's eating this kind of food. Every lunch you go and buy this type of snack. So it means that that person likes it, or at least you have seen the person eating it. You can't tell me I eat a food just because I am this or that. At least you have to see me eating it before. So that is direct observation. So once you have seen me eating it, then in fact I eat it. Either it's my favorite or not. Since you have seen me taking it in, I have ate it before. So that is one method. Any other method that can help us to understand. So that is called direct observation. So we call that one method of determining the flow of energy in an ecosystem. When we talk about flow of energy, how does energy flow? Energy flow because we are eating and being eaten. Remember, we talked about this in the food chain. So series of eating and being eaten. So one thing is that How will I know that a sheep feed on grass? How did you get to know? I'm sure your answer is you've seen it chewing grass before. So we all know that the goat and the sheep they feed on grass. Why do you know that the cock feed on grasshopper? You have seen it chasing grasshopper. Eventually, it fed on it. Why do you know the moth is being fed upon by a lizard? You have seen a lizard eating the moth before, so you have seen it. Direct observation. How will I know that you eat bread? I saw you in the morning with that loaf, not even a thin slice of bread. You ate the whole loaf of bread, and at least I know that you eat bread. So that is direct observation or questioning. So you ask me, oh, yes, I do take this kind of food. Okay, then let me go and get you something. That is questioning or direct observation. What other way can we get to know? Normally, there's a story I used to say. I don't know whether I can share it online with you. So maybe I'll just share it. Any other way that anyone can think of. Now, you have seen me eating it. What other way can prove a food that I eat? Or what do you think I can have eaten before? So let me just bring this story here. I'll just make it snappy because it's not a one-on-one in class. So there was this guy that once dressed up and like he's a little bit of show off. So he like over there he shows a lot of things that for him even fufu and those local foods he doesn't eat. He just taking shawarma, pizza and some of those things. So fried rice and the rest. So he doesn't take in fufu, face the wall, the tapioca and the rest. No, no, no. That guy he shows off. So one day, unfortunately, he was sick. He was sent to the sick bay or the hospital. He vomited, and to their utmost surprise, what they saw was a dark muzzle that looks just like the what is it the tapioca, what we call the abetier. So the people were but this guy he eat just tilapia, shawarma, and some of burgers and the rest sandwiches. So where from this kind of thing that looks like fufu, tapioca, and those things? So this guy just said that. So the guy said that no, Charlie, it's never true. Then it's my haters or like the witches in the family that are trying to disgrace him. He ate burgers and the rest, and he ended up vomiting, and the vomit came out to be something that looks like fufu, tapioca, and some local food. So this story that I've told you could also prove something, another level of identifying the food chain. So the next one is gut examination. Even the Bible said one thing. There is not what enters us that makes us filthy, but what comes out of us. The point is, what comes out of you is part of you. Are you getting the point? If that thing wasn't part of you, it wouldn't have come out. So, the another one is gut examination. How did you realize that the fowl sometimes feed on stones? How did you get to know that the cock feed on the ants and maybe the grain? One, you have seen it eating it. Others too, when they dissect the animal, you see the food in the crop. That is the another best way to identify whether I feed on something. So when you kill a cock, I'm sure some of us would have witnessed that before. Maybe you didn't kill it, but at least maybe you help your brother or maybe someone to uh, kill it and also dissect and cut the part. So you see that inside the crop there will be maize, sometimes stones, sometimes ants. So how will you realize that? You know that okay, so the fowl feed on this. So the food that the animal ate the previous day or earlier that day, you see it in the stomach. That proves it that you ate it. So for human beings, I can't dissect you. But the fact that you vomited and I saw fufu or something inside, something that looks like rice or granite, then it means that you ate that food. So you eat it. If I see you at where they sell porridge, it doesn't mean you eat porridge, but at least I will presume that you are going to buy it. Maybe it's your mother or your friend, you are going to say hi to the person. But once I see you picking it and putting it in your mouth, you have swallowed, that proves that you have ate that thing. So the first one is observation. I'm just watching you. The way you move around this area, I'm sure you'll be going there to eat. But I entered that place and I saw you putting it into your mouth. You've ate it. or maybe we went and operated or you vomited, the thing came out. But for the animals, when you dissect them, so we call that one cat examination. So if I do endoscopy and I see the kind of food in your stomach, it means you feed on that. So the first one is it's direct observation or questioning. Second one is cat examination, whereby anything that has entered your alimentary canal is because we are fed on it. That becomes that, oh, you eat on that. So one time I think I was dissecting a cockhead. I saw very very large black ants and also some maize, and the maize was the bait they use for to catch the cock. So I knew that definitely there will be maize over there. But I saw some large black ants. Then I realized that okay, then either the night or earlier that day, the animal saw some black ant, it fed on them. Though they were dead, sometimes you could see some grasses in their crop. That shows the kind of food they feed upon. So that is another level. And we have a very last one. And the last one too, I have another story over there. So, senior high school students do a lot of nasty things, and sometimes when you go form one, I'm sure by now it is reducing a little bit, and you ladies, you will not feel that in much as in the boys' schools and the boys' dormitories. So normally when you go there, the seniors will just come that same day. What did you bring? Give me a share of it. So students too, we try to also become a little bit smarter. So we will keep some of the things somewhere so the seniors don't take everything away. Sometimes your school father might be a good Samaritan, but some too they will act a good Samaritan. They'll end up taking everything that you have. So there was this one guy that the seniors will come for. So he has a special sitter for himself and a special one for the seniors. So that when you come today, the next day you will not come for a shooter again. That one I don't know whether they use kivo for that shooter. So it was very 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 spicy, a lot of pepper inside, and in fact it was very tasteless. So whenever the senior come for it, the next day they will not come. So his special one day, that one actually you eat it, that you'll be begging him to take some more the next day. So one student also did one thing to stop the seniors. So in a shuttle he put some drugs over there that we call sue softness that will make you run. So because of the seniors will have some lockers, they can't open it and they will just be taking it. So one time he decided to put some of these drag some of these his shuttle containers. So that day we saw that some seniors were using the washroom ramp like anytime they are going there. So can someone help us know the culprit, those that have been stealing that junior's shuttle? I'm sure your guess is good as mine. Because of time, I'm not inviting anyone to talk. Because one, that day, like they went to another tree about 5 or 6 times, they were running. So once the person has put some of these two softness in the drug, there is no that like Bisacodil and the rest. Then those who have been visiting the lavatory about 5 or 7 times in the morning, they are the suspects. Another one too, instead of putting what do you call it, milk powder in there, so some also mix their milk powder, their sugar, everything in a container. So this guy saw that seniors were breaking into his trouble. So he also did something. He put washing powder, mixed everything, and added some small non-dairy or milk powder in it so that the scent will not be so detectable. So the seniors also come, they saw that oh for this guy the everything is made. So it's like how we call it kigo gari mix already. Over that time that one wasn't there. So and the seniors they made a big mistake. They put everything inside before adding water. So the non-dairy, the needle, anything that they got from even the groundnut, they put everything together. Now they were adding water. They saw that the thing was becoming so foamy. They were thinking, okay, maybe the non-dairy was too much. Before they realized the solution that they had could have washed all their clothes. So now they complain that their gari that they are having is now foaming. So now we can easily tell where they got their gari from. That means it's from the chop boss or the guy that intentionally added the how do you call it the washing powder into his gari. So over there we can track the culprit or those that stole it, and that also relates to a third method of determining a food chain, and we call that one the radioactive tracer method. We call it the radioactive or tracer method. That is when we make a trace, because some seniors ate shito and now they are having a running stomach. They have been defecating the washroom a lot. So that presume that they've eaten something that is softening their tooth, that they are having a running stomach. So if you want the culprit, those that ate that juniors shit, then we can name those seniors over there. So that is a radioactive tracer method. In that one, we put a radioactive element like phosphorus 3537. We put some of these radioactive isotopes inside the soil or as a fertilizer. The plant will pick them up. Any animal that will feed on that plant will have those radioactive elements in them. So assuming it was 100% in the plant, any organism that will feed on the plant directly will have maybe approximately 50 or 70. Then the one that will feed on the grass cutter or the grasshopper that fed on the grass will get a little bit of that. So based on the amount that you have, we can determine it to know whether you are the first trophic level, second trophic level, or the third trophic level organism that fed on the plant, or that organism that feed on the radioactive isotope. So we call that one the radioactive or the tracer method. So everyone that complains that their Gary soakings was very soapy, it means that they stole from that junior that added the washing powder. Any senior that will complain of a running stomach because they ate some shit, that senior will also be a culprit. So the one that ate a lot will end up having a serious diarrhea, and the one that ate maybe one or two out of it will not have a severe diarrhea. So that is how we do the radioactive tracer method. Based on that, we can determine, and the effective one is the radioactive tracer, but that one will cost. The another effective or second one is the gut examination. Once the thing is in your stomach, Charlie, you cannot lie, ate it, because it can never be in your stomach without you eating it. Then the second one is direct observation. That one is so easier, but it's not that because you have to be observing the organisms direct. So these are the method for determining the flow of energy in an ecosystem. So anytime you are trying to forget, look at the examples I gave you. The first one is, how will you know the kind of food that I eat? You should see me eating it, or you should see it in my stomach, but you can't come and dissect me and check my stomach. But when I vomit, then Charlie, because you vomited this, then it means that it came from your stomach, and we call that one the gut examination. And the last one is the radioactive or tracer method. So if I am showing signs of a kind of food, maybe the food was poisoned, I'm also having that food poison, it means that I ate from the food. Maybe the food is contaminated, I'm showing signs of that contamination, like the, let you call it the typhoid and the rest, then it means that I ate that same kind of food. So that is the method. So the direct observation, some can also call it direct counting. So it's the same thing, either direct counting or direct observation. So it involves direct observation and counting of organisms which are in the ecosystem that feed on that. So that is the same thing. If you have a question, you can ask. We have the limitation. It's very simple, but it's time consuming, so you can't be watching them overnight. So this one too is very good, but it only reveals feeding activity and will not provide entire picture of the predator's diet, and sometimes it's very difficult because some of the food will be partially digested and you end up killing the organism most often than not, because to examine their guts, if you don't use endoscopy, you will end up killing them before you can see, and that is also suicidal to the animals. And the radioactive is is the best, but the point is, not all organisms easily take up these traces. So it could be in the soil as a fertilizer, then the organism are not picking them up. So these are the limitations and some other notes for you to read. So I think I will not spend my time here. If you have a question, you can ask, or we end the lesson tonight. Then God willing, on Sunday we will look at ecological pyramid, how we check. Yeah, okay, a hand is up. I think it's right there. Yeah, Radia, hand is up. You can ask your question or contribute. Okay, you learn this one in chemistry. So we have radioactive elements. So we will learn something we call radioactivity. So they are like nuclear, they are elements, nuclear elements like the uranium. Will I even remember the rest? Some of them are using the nuclear weapons. So they decay. One thing is that they are elements that can like the uranium. I think they are there from the lanthanide series. So they are elements that are most often they are unstable and they easily decay over time. But we have something that we call a half-life that based on that they used to decay. So this is the, as I said, I think the rubidium, the francium, uranium, a lot of them, they are the radioactive elements. So the point is that they decay over time, but they can stay. Some of them are poisonous and some are also very serious because once they are decaying, they release a lot of energy. They could be used for nuclear weapons and the rest. But when we come here, the organs that we can easily pick them up and they can become part of. But what we use for this will not be the harmful one. So we use phosphorus. That and when we add that one in the chemical formulation, like maybe a fertilizer, the organism will pick them up. It will become part of their system. So it's like if I take in calcium, any food that contains calcium, my bones will pick the calcium and my body will store it either in my bones depositories, in my teeth, or become part of me. So the food that we eat, it becomes part of us. It becomes nutrients and sometimes builds up our body for us. So once the plant pick it, that radioactive isotope, it will not be used as food energy, but rather it will be part of the organism system. For example, if you pick carcinogenic substances, if you're in a place, then to become part of them later can cause cancer or any other something. But like the mercury that we're using for galamsey, it becomes part of the organism and it will cause detrimental effect. So once we see those arsenic and mercury, lead particles in you, it means that you have been exposed to a galamsey area or the heavy metals used for mining. So once the organisms have some of these, it is harmless, not the other harmful radioactive element. Once we see them around you, then we can say that you fed on the food, sorry, on that plant, or at least you fed on an organism that fed on the plant based on the amount that you are having in your system. Because for example, the animal that will feed on the poison will die instantly. If I also feed on the animal that fed on that, so for instance, I apply the poison on a weedicide on my maize plant, the grasshopper that will feed on it is easily to die. But if a lizard feed on the grasshopper, the lizard might not necessarily die, but the lizard might maybe become a little bit poisoned. The snake will be lucky that it won't die because it didn't feed on the weed directly. It fed on the lizard that fed on it. So based, but at least it might have a little bit of the poison in its system, but not enough to kill it. So based on the level of where you are getting the food, there could be some amount of the chemical or the radioactive element in your system. So that is that. I think in chemistry, first was in Form 2 or Form 3, you will learn radioactivity. You will talk about some of these terms, the beta, the alpha rays, and the delta. You will talk about the radioactive and nuclide and half-life and the rest. So that is a little brief overview over what radioactive elements are. They are just elements like the first 20. They are predictive. Any other question or contribution, then we can move on. If there are no questions, we will end it here. So please kindly read ahead. Always, I'd like to end the lesson tonight. Thank you for joining, and I also advise you to keep on studying. See you same time on Sunday, where we will talk about the ecological pyramid and the relevance of determining food chain using the method we've talked about. Thank you all for appreciating. Have a nice day. Good night.